let's talk about the game two for between the Lightning and Rangers now, as we shift to Thursday night. Excuse me, as we shift to Friday night. This will be another 8 p.m. start Eastern time. The over under here is 5.5. The Lightning minus 120 right now. The Rangers even money. The Lightning are plus 105 to win the series. Rangers now minus 125 after an impressive game one performance. I think, you can add some context to what we saw in game one. I thought the Lightning were my kind of predicted script for this game was that the Lightning would be rusty to start and then get their bearings. What ended up happening was I was actually kind of impressed with Tampa in the first period. And then they started to show that rust, and they were just not sharp in their defensive zone. You give the Rangers credit; they've just been incredibly clinical. Like anytime the Penguins, Hurricanes, and now Lightning have made mistakes or given them extra opportunities on offensive zone shifts, the Rangers punished them, even against Vasilevsky, who was fighting it a little bit tonight. He definitely was not sharp. Igor was, especially in that first period. Some really good opportunities for Steven Stamkos, who I know scored, but him and Kucherov had some good looks in front and just couldn't convert. So now we get into it is now an age-old question. This is now the third straight season we're talking about it. Tampa Bay, of course, is 17-0, 16-0, whatever it is at this point, against after a loss over the past 10. Now this will be their 11th playoff series, so 10 playoff series. Of course, they haven't lost any of those playoff series. They've won 10 in a row. They won 2 Stanley Cups in a row. You're going to hear all about this streak that the Lightning are on, and a lot of times that narrative budges the lineup on Tampa Bay because people will bet into it. So I guess the question is now, like, what are your thoughts? I think we can safely assume a better performance from Tampa Bay in game two, but I also don't think that this matchup for them is tricky in that you really right now with the way the Rangers are going, like you can't afford mistakes. You can't afford slow starts because they're just punishing everything. Their power play is clipping at like 33% in the playoffs, and over the past 8 or 9 games, it's much higher than that. It's been just a clinical performance from the Rangers. So at these prices, what are you thinking for game two?
So I can't there's not too much I can take away from this game in terms of matchups, because there was a lot of elements in play. You touched on Tampa Bay off the long rest, possibly being rusty, and you're right. We saw that as that game progressed. So I'm not going to penalize Tampa Bay for that. I'm not going to penalize Vasilevsky for his leaky performance. Both of those, the team itself has earned that right to receive the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to discredit Rangers too much because of that, because again, it's not their fault, right? Like, it's not their fault they play backup goalies. It's not their fault Tampa Bay could have been rusty. You just need to beat the teams in front of you. That's all you can do. So there's a lot of potential narratives there that we can just push aside for now, because if they are true, then there's nothing we can take away from the matchups. What I can take away is that Tampa Bay closed this game at minus 120. Now, if there's nothing new I can learn out of the matchups, if there are narratives in play, then we need to see where that line goes. If at minus 120 for game one, off a team that for a team that could be rusty, if that gets any lower, I think it's too short for Tampa Bay. So then I'll be on Tampa Bay. But you also have, how you mentioned, this how can I say it nicely, this streak, which is the bane of my existence, that I hear too much about. If that gets bet into, then the Rangers are going to get pushed up. So in that scenario, we're going to be too high on the Rangers. So basically what I'm saying is that we need to wait where this line goes, right? I'm willing to bet Tampa Bay around -120. I'm willing to bet the Rangers if we can get back up to plus 118, plus 120 area.
Yeah, and another thing to point out, and I kind of alluded to this in the last episode with the rust. We know from the NHL bye weeks, and we know from past experiences when teams come off of sweeps that long layoffs just aren't beneficial right away for teams. However, now the Rangers have played the maximum amount of games plus 4-ish overtime periods. So they're looking at, in total, since the playoffs started about a month ago, they're looking at 15-ish, 16 games, basically. If you add up all the overtimes and whatever, 16 high stakes games. Whereas the Lightning they played game 7 against the Leafs, then they played 11. So while the rust is a problem for game 1, the longer the series goes, Tampa Bay's rest should pay off. And I talked about this. I wrote a preview for the series in the New York Post, and like I said, alluded to it in the last episode. That's why I didn't mind the buyback opportunities on Tampa Bay if they did lose game 1, because we knew that they weren't going to be at their best, they wouldn't be at their sharpest, and the Rangers are a team built to kind of capitalize on that kind of stuff. Now that they're down a game, and I see the line is plus 105 in the series line, I'm tempted by Tampa Bay. Backing Tampa to win the series, but I'm also like, this is the type of game and the type of series, type of matchup, a 2-0 lead for the Rangers at home as well. If they do buck this trend, like that, I would still be interested, is what I'm trying to say, in backing Tampa Bay. I don't mind buying low on this Lightning team. They've proven to us time and again that they'll pace themselves, right? They'll do what they need to do to get a good feel for the series before they start to really come alive. So I'm still bullish on Tampa's betting value in the long term, because I do think eventually the rest will pay off. And like you, I think the way it's lined right now, Tampa -120, Rangers even money, is a play on Tampa for me. If it flips, then we're looking at the Rangers. But I really don't know where this line will go, because, man, this Rangers team now they've won 4 games in a row. Games 6, 7, and now 1. So 3 games in a row against good opposition when they were either an underdog or basically even money. They've won 6 in a row at home. They're 6-1, I believe, 5-1 over the last 7 or so games in the playoffs. So at some point, people are going to start betting into this Rangers team. And I know they do have their skeptics because of their underlying metrics and the quality of goaltending they face. But so I really wonder where this line goes. But that's just a long-winded way to say that at the current price, I like the Lightning. Any final thoughts for you? Maybe the total, what you saw out of the goaltenders, looking ahead to game 2?
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't surprising that game went over. I was a little bit surprised with Vasilevsky's play, but again, he's not a guy that I'm gonna like spend too much time on about like dissecting his play or anything. Like he'll be fine. So going forward in this series, I see again that the under 5.5 is going to be juiced. I just normally, with 2 great goaltenders, 2 teams that can lock it up, I would be looking at the under. But I've mentioned this a lot in today's NHL. Like even a 5.5, like it needs to be a really special spot to go under 5.5 in this league. So reluctantly, I'll pass there. I know that my numbers again are going to show me under, but I'm not going to get there. So I think that total is probably going to be a pass for me, and I am leaning towards Tampa Bay right now. And it's going to be fun to hear about that streak for another couple of days.
Hey, you get to actually bet into it this time, perhaps.
That,
All right, so that'll do it for this episode of Line Change. We'll see you on the other side of the weekend. We're on the Oilers. Right now we're on the Lightning. And we wish you the best of luck with your game 2 and 3 bets.